Are you interested in a Porsche 911 but want something with a little bit more allure than the standard Carrera? Something maybe lighter and a little bit more driver focused even? Well, the Porsche Carrera 911 T offers us that exact recipe, and I'm delighted to say that the guys down here at Porsche Centre Chester have just loaned us this example. Porsche's latest Carrera T is a nod to the 911 T of 1968, where British drivers Vic Elford and David Stone drove on to achieve a historic and epic Monte Carlo rally win. So this is a modern take on those great lightweight competition Porsches, and gone are any non-essentials, because this is all about lightness, relative affordability and the way it drives. This car is Porsche's attempt to bring a pure driver's 911 to more people. And we shouldn't forget that the best 911s over the years have rarely been merely about out-and-out power, but have often been the lightest ones and the simplest too. And hearing the finer details of this Carrera T, you can't help but being enticed by its recipe. We get a car with the lightest narrow body, two-wheel drive, manual gearbox as standard, thinner side and rear glass borrowed from the GT3 RS cars, these fabric door pulls, less soundproofing, rear seats deleted and the infotainment system absent by default, although these latter items can be added back, as can the PDK gearbox. So the T is based on a standard Carrera engine, not the more powerful S variant, although both of those cars are virtually identical with the exception of a few tweaks. Power comes from Carrera's 360 brake horsepower flat 6, which is rather vocal thanks to the standard sports exhaust and a pipe which sends the engine's induction sound directly into the cabin. Then it's what Porsche's put back in that justifies the rise in price over Carrera. We have a very trick mechanical differential, 20mm lower suspension, a PASM Sport chassis, Sport chrono pack, lower gear ratios and the ability to tick the box mark active rear wheel steering. Porsche's tagline for the T is less is more, and to me this mix is sounding relatively lively to say the least. From the outside you'll identify a T by its slightly more aggressive front splitter, grey 20-inch wheels, grey mirrors, plus a special script on the doors and at the rear. Inside there are Sport Tex fabric sensors for the seats, which have actually grown on me. A stubby gear lever with a gear pattern denoted in red, and if you go for the T interior package, then coloured stitching and further coloured elements can be brought into the interior design. Jump in and it's that oh so nice 911 feeling once again. All 911s have that snug quality feel about them, and the T, with all this Alcantara and neat sporty touches, has a purposeful intent about it. Turn it on, wait for the flat sits to settle, switch the rotary dial into sport mode and head off down the road. It's a special princely feeling piloting any 911, and this vivid yellow limited edition simply amplifies your experience. The swell of power is punchy and exciting, but not as mind-blowing as some of the T's big brothers. However, this engine is bringing its own bit to a party that blends seamlessly with the chunky but positive shift action and balanced sport suspension setup. The tastiest bit of the recipe is the steering. Heavy enough, precise and intuitive mid-corner, something that can be further supplemented by that rear wheel steering if you specify it. The T's gearing is shorter than usual, but it still feels a little bit long-legged at times. On the plus side, 7th gear on a motorway cruise can make for 35 mpg or even better on extended trips. The reduced sound deadening and wider rear tyres can throw up a fair bit of road noise on coarser road surfaces, mind you. So to drive it's a hoot, and you'll be wanting to drive it everywhere. You'll relish the ultra precise steering, that howling flat 6 revving to 7,500 RPM, impeccably composed and wonderfully agile handling. For a driver it really does have the lot. Oh, and my advice is definitely go for the manual gearbox over the PDK. After all, this is a pared back pure driver's car, and the stick shift is a smooth short throw mechanical joy to use. This lightweight T costs slightly less than a Carrera S, but of course it's still not cheap. But when you buy cheap things, they often end up expensive, and this limited edition Porsche may not end up costing you as much as your depreciation fears might tell you. It may be that the T isn't going to slip down that depreciation slope as quickly as some of its more mainstream siblings might. To me, this is more special and more desirable than a regular Carrera. It's a car which is just enough but not too much. It's the 911 of old. It drives like you think a 911 should drive, not like a refined sledgehammer like say the Turbo S, but like a mechanical, rorty, nimble sports car. I think Vic Elfler and David Stone would get this setup 100% and make real use of it, and so might you. Just make sure it has that manual box. So for those of you who are looking for a 911 with a little bit more of an authentic driving experience with all the daily usability of the standard Carrera, I'd look no further than the Porsche Carrera 911 T.